Hi, welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University, Bachelor of Social Work, BFSW. Semester I, BSW 121 Professional Social Work and its Values. Block 2 Basics of Social Work. Unit 4 Social Work Ethics in Indian Context. 4.0 Objectives. This unit will enable you to understand the ethical aspects of social work practice. A social worker's primary function is problem solving in human relationships. These situations are often complex and delicate in nature. Therefore, ethical decision making is important in these situations, and in this unit you will be given an introduction to ethics and its relevance in social work. At the end of the unit you will be able to understand what ethics is, discuss the importance of ethics in social work, familiarize yourself with the Code of Ethics of Social Work, and understand its application in social work situations. 4.1 Introduction. Among the major problems Indian society faces are those of abuse of authority, corruption and social discrimination. Social workers are part of this society as much as anybody else. They will, no doubt, be influenced by these values. Their personalities would have internalized these values, and consciously or unconsciously, their behavior reflects these values. But social work advocates values radically different from these values. A sound understanding of social work values is needed so that professional behavior is guided by these values rather than any other values. Another issue related to ethics is that most of them are based on Western experience, and their applicability in the Indian situation is often questioned. In this unit we will discuss these issues briefly. 4.2 Case Situations. Before we start our discussion, we offer you few brief case situations to clarify the importance of values and ethics in social work practice. Try to place yourself in the situations and make your judgments. Assume that you have the power to make decisions and implement them. 1. You are the administrator of an agency and you are sending applications of poor families to the government agencies asking for financial aid. Your subordinate wants you to reduce the annual income of the families shown in the documents, as she feels that it will improve their chances of getting the aid. Besides, she says that all other agencies do the same, and if your agency does not do that, households of your community will be at a disadvantage. Will you agree to knowingly misrepresent information to help the families? 2. A woman buys female babies from poor families and offers them for adoption to well-to-do families. She claims that she is not making money in the process and is only interested in helping the female babies as well as the families. She says that if the babies are not removed from the families, they will most likely be killed or ill-treated, which also will most likely result in death. She quotes certain statistics to prove her point. She says that she is breaking the law but compares it to Gandhi's breaking of the law during freedom struggle. The aim is the greater good of society with no loss to anyone in the process. Is she doing the right thing? 3. A man is infected with HIV/AIDS during a blood transfusion after an accident. She says that her family members should not be informed, as she will be thrown out of the house and she has nowhere to go. At the same time, there is a risk of other members of the family getting infected, particularly her wife. Should you keep the information confidential or disclose the person's health status to her wife, family members? 4. Your colleagues in the counseling center discuss the problems of the clients and make fun of their problems. When you ask them why they do so, they say that the information does not go out of the group and that the clients will never come to know of this. When you say that you will report this to your superior, they threaten to break up their relationship with you if you proceed. Will you be willing to be ostracized by the group to resolve a problem on account of which nobody seems to be affected? 5. Your superior conducts a program on heat in the community but misreports them as educational programs. When you ask why she does so, She says that the bureaucratic system in the agency has led to a wrong understanding of the problem and the community needs heat awareness, not education. Is she right in manipulating the records? 6. An unwed woman comes to seek assistance from you to abort her fetus. She says that she has no choice as the father of the unborn child has refused to marry her. Her parents have arranged her marriage with someone else. But if they come to know of this, they will certainly cancel the marriage. The pregnancy has reached a stage where it cannot be legally aborted. The woman has not informed her parents about her condition and does not intend to do so. Will you help her to abort even though it is illegal? 7. A policeman tortures a criminal saying that she is guilty and deserves the punishment. Do you think that the policeman is right in doing so? 8. Your client, opposite sex, proposes marriage to you. She says that you both have the same social background and therefore should get married. She points out that there are a number of instances where professional relationships have become personal. For example, colleagues working in the same office get married, doctors marry nurses, and so on. Will you accept the proposal if you feel that she fits the requirement of your life partner? As you may have noticed, most of the above cases deal with situations in which all options available seem to be right from one or the other perspective. In real life also, most of the time social workers are often confronted with such situations. An understanding of the ethical dimensions of decision-making thus becomes important. We have instances reported in the press about misappropriation of funds, sexual abuse of clients under their care, and abuse and torture of children, and so on. These are clearly wrong in the eyes of law as well as according to the ethics of the profession. Since these actions are clearly wrong, we have not given examples of such situations. We have chosen to focus on those actions which are gray or ambiguous in nature. 4.3 Ethics, an introduction. The word ethics is derived from Greek, meaning custom, which is the branch of axiology, one of the four major branches of philosophy, which attempts to understand the nature of morality, to distinguish that which is right from that which is wrong. Ethics, also called moral philosophy, is concerned about what is right and what is wrong. Ethics involves making decisions of a moral nature about people and their interaction in society. Kitchener, 1986. Ethics is generally defined as philosophical discipline that is concerned with human contact and moral decision making. Van Hoos. In other words, it deals with the basis on which decisions should be made. Should the ultimate consequences of the decision, for example, be promoting happiness or promoting perfectionism in society? Religious people base their decisions on what they believe to be the will of God and on God's word. As social workers, we are interested in ethics so that our relationships with clients, our colleagues, our superiors, and our subordinates are within the framework of social work values. Social work rejects social Darwinism and utilitarianism. Social Darwinism is a modern name given to various theories of society that emerged in the United Kingdom, North America, and Western Europe in the 1870s, which claim to apply biological concepts of natural selection and survival of the fittest to sociology and politics. Utilitarianism is a system of ethics according to which the rightness or wrongness of an action should be judged by its consequences. The goal of utilitarian ethics is to promote the greatest happiness for the greatest number. Social work initially emerged in the Western countries including USA and was therefore influenced by Judeo-Christian values. As the profession began to spread to Gulf and other parts of Asia, the religious traditions of these countries also influenced the social work profession in these regions. Social workers are trying to incorporate indigenous values into the profession so that the profession gets better recognition and acceptance from the people. This process will be an extended one, as most post-colonial societies are yet to recover, intellectually and academically, from the colonial experience. Scientific values and methods have also influenced the practice of social work. It may seem strange that social work is influenced by two seemingly contrary values, of science and religion. Social work rejects those religious values that advocate that an individual suffers due to otherworldly reasons like God's anger or predestination. It believes that every individual has the capacity to solve his/her problems if she is provided with the necessary resources. Consequently, factors that cause an individual's problem or a social problem are identified using scientific methods, namely observation, description, classification and explanation. Solutions based on rationality are identified and formulated. The following values are the basis of social work profession: social justice, the dignity and worth of the individual, importance of human relationships, integrity and competence. You must have noticed that professionals who deal with the human body, human psyche and human relationships always have a code of conduct. Doctors have a code of conduct which they have to follow while they are practicing. Doctors pledge to prescribe only beneficial treatment, according to their abilities and judgment, to refrain from causing harm or hurt, and to live an exemplary personal and professional life. Lawyers have their own code, which they have to follow when they are interacting with clients, pleading before a judge and questioning witnesses. These codes have evolved over time, during which these professions emerged in society. As these professions emerged, there were several instances of misuse of these positions by unscrupulous individuals who harmed the professions. The codes were formulated so that behavior of these professionals are controlled and society's trust in them is not lost. Professions that have ethical codes generally have a body of fellow professionals who are elected by the professional organization to oversee their implementation. In advanced countries, these bodies have wide-ranging powers. These include the power to censure the offending member, impose a fine on the member and even revoke the member's license to practice. When one former American president was found guilty of perjury, the Bar Association of her home state revoked her license to practice in the court, and now she is not allowed to practice law in that state. In India, the license of a doctor-actor was revoked by the medical council after it was alleged that she had advertised a medicine which did not meet the standards set by the council. Of course, in both these high-profile cases, there existed a political angle to the problem which led the respective associations to take such drastic steps. But these examples do show that the ethical codes of professions are a serious matter and that professional bodies are powerful organizations. We shall now specifically take up the Social Work Code of Ethics. 4.4 Need for the ethical behavior in social work. Social work is a problem-solving profession. The social worker comes across varied and complex situations. Ethics help professionals to act morally in difficult situations. The need for such behavior in social work is important due to the following reasons. Social workers, during their interaction with clients and their significant others, have sensitive information. The purpose of the client to share information is to enable the social worker to get better insight into the problem and then help the client to solve the problem. But if the social worker reveals this sensitive information inadvertently or purposely to others, she will be damaging the client's cause and further complicate the problem. Strict observance of the principle of confidentiality is necessary in this situation. Social workers are often in situations where their decisions can cause serious damage to the client. Social workers often deal with clients who are facing serious problems. Their personalities are often disintegrated and they may be vulnerable to emotional and physical abuse. Even otherwise, there is a power relation between the social worker and the client. The case worker has more knowledge and is in greater control of her emotions than the client. This power should not be used to the disadvantage of the client. In some cases, the caseworker may unconsciously commit an error which causes damage to the client. The chances for such errors are minimized when the social worker has internalized the social work ethics. Social workers occupy positions of authority in governmental and non-governmental organizations. Any position of authority has an element of accountability attached to it. Accountability means to give count of. You have been entrusted with certain goods, and after use you have to account for what you have used, for what purpose, how and to what effect. Social workers, unlike others, have an additional responsibility. They have to see that the human dignity and human self is preserved. Probably no other profession deals with these aspects as directly as social work. A policeman has to only think whether her action would reduce the crime rate, and whether she is following the due process of law when she is acting. The lawyer has to only think whether her client's interests will be served by her actions. A priest has to only worry whether her actions will help fulfill the individual's religious needs. But the social worker's decisions should express concern for human dignity and human self. Social workers are often in positions where they can allocate resources. In most cases, allocating resources to one party means not allocating it to others who are also needy. This is true of a country like India, where scarcity exists almost everywhere. In an adoption center, a social worker may be asked whether a particular couple can be allowed to adopt a child. The social worker's opinion will have a bearing on the lives of at least 3 individuals. Social workers have to preserve professional autonomy. In a democratic country, the government is the ultimate authority and it plays an important role in regulating other institutions. But sometimes this regulation becomes an intrusion into the internal affairs of the professions, which is not desirable. If the professionals themselves regulate their affairs, government action becomes unnecessary and their professional autonomy can be preserved. 4.5 Purpose of a Code of Ethics. We have seen the importance of ethical behavior in social work. Those countries in which social work has been fully accepted as a profession by the society have a code of ethics. A code is a systematic collection of regulations and rules of procedure or conduct. Code of ethics in social work can thus be defined as a set of rules and regulations that should govern the conduct of the social worker in her relationships with her clients, fellow professionals, colleagues, the agency, and society in general. According to the National Association of Social Workers, USA, NASW, Code of Ethics serves 6 purposes. 1. The code identifies core values on which social work's mission is based. 2. The code summarizes broad ethical principles that reflect the profession's core values and establishes a set of specific ethical standards that should be used to guide social work practice. 3. The code is designed to help social workers identify relevant considerations when professional obligations, conflictual or ethical uncertainties arise. 4. The code provides ethical standards to which the general public can hold the social work profession accountable. 5. The code socializes practitioners new to the field to social work's mission, values, ethical principles and ethical standards. 6. The code articulates standards that the social work profession itself can use to assess whether social workers have engaged in unethical conduct. These codes have been formulated by experts in the profession and presented before the General Assembly of the Social Work Association of that country. In the General Assembly, the issues are discussed word by word. Different points of view are expressed and debated upon. After such wide-ranging discussions and several revisions, the final draft of the code is put to vote and accepted. The broad participation of social workers and the democratic procedure followed by the Assembly ensures that the codes receive wide acceptance. It has a substantial influence on the social workers' practice in these countries. If anyone is found breaking the code, action is taken after a formal inquiry. In India, However, there exists no association which commands such authority. Among the social workers, some associations, which are basically regional based, have developed a code of ethics of their own. However, as these associations have limited selected members and exclude a majority of the social workers of the country, their influence on social work practice is limited. The government has also not recognized any body and has not entrusted anyone with the authority to regulate social work. Efforts were made to formulate a professional social workers bill that is aimed at regulating the social work practice in the country. However, no results have been achieved. Here we have tried to present a model of a code of ethics, which can be used in social work practice in the Indian context. The social workers are encouraged to adhere to these codes even during their training period. As one goes through the code, it will be noticed that ultimately it is the responsibility of the individual who has to maintain these standards in his, her or her behavior. External agencies can only regulate the social worker's behavior up to a certain extent. Therefore, it is necessary that we internalize these values and make them a part of our personality. 4.6a Model of Code of Ethics for Indian Social Workers. Since there is no code of ethics available in India, the following code of ethics is based on the code of ethics of different associations of different countries. In the discussion that follows, the code is developed by us and keeps in mind the Indian conditions. The mission of the social work profession is rooted in a set of core values. These core values, embraced by social workers throughout the profession's history, are the foundation of social work's unique purpose and perspective. The core values are service, social justice, dignity and worth of the person, importance of human relationships, integrity, competence. 1. The social worker's conduct and behavior as a social worker. The social worker should act in accordance with the highest standards of personal conduct as a social worker. The social worker should maintain high standards of personal conduct when she is dealing with others. High standards of conduct would mean that the social worker should not engage in dishonest acts, cheating and deceit. Usually a person's life is divided into two, professional and personal. The individual's professional life is supposed to be open to public, whereas in her personal life she has the freedom to do as she pleases without breaking the law. But the social worker has great responsibility even in her personal life. For example, it is unlikely that a social worker can be bigamous and still maintain the community's respect as a guide or leader. The social worker should strive to achieve a high level of competence and proficiency in the practice of the profession. Pursuit of excellence is a desired goal of every committed professional, no matter what the field is. Social workers are not different from others in this aspect. A social worker should, in various ways, update her knowledge about the areas related to her practice. The social worker should take only those cases which she can handle with her level of competence. The decision to take up the case should be made after a thorough and impartial study of the facts and circumstances related to the case. After taking up the case, if the social worker at any stage feels that the case is beyond her competence, she should make arrangements to transfer the case to a more competent professional. In some cases, the social worker may herself undergo stressful situations which may affect her performance. The social worker should take professional help and make alternative arrangements for her clients. Even otherwise, the social worker should ensure that her problems do not interfere with her behavior with the client and consequently affect the client adversely. The social worker should not misrepresent her qualification and experience in order to get a job or a promotion, when generally recognized standards do not exist. With respect to an emerging area of practice, social workers should exercise careful judgment and take responsible steps, including appropriate education, research, training, consultation, and supervision, to ensure the competence of their work and to protect clients from harm. The social worker regards as primary the service obligation of the social work profession. Social work as a profession legitimizes its existence by providing effective service to the clients. The social worker is allowed to intervene in the private life of the individual provided that she takes responsibility for the same. Acceptance of the client regardless of her personal qualities is important in the relationship. The professional should ensure that discriminatory and inhumane actions are not allowed in her practice and within her sphere of authority. The social worker should act in accordance with the highest standards of professional integrity and impartiality. The social worker should take care to ensure that social work values and principles are applied in its practice. She should be able to resist all harmful influences, the sources of which are within the agency or outside the agency, from colleagues, subordinates or superiors, from bureaucrats, politicians or anybody else who is in a position to do so. The social worker engaged in study and research should be guided by the conventions of scholarly inquiry. Research in social work is related to human problems, and people who are experiencing these problems are more often than not experiencing severe trauma. The researcher, while collecting information from these sources, should take into account the sensitivity of the problem, the impact the process will make on the individual, and the impact on the service delivery of the agency on the whole. The researcher should not coerce anybody to participate in the research process. Further care should be taken to ensure that no harm is done to the respondents as a consequence of their participation in the research work. 2. The social worker's ethical responsibility to clients. The social worker's primary responsibility is towards the best interests of the client. The social worker is expected to serve the client with full loyalty and to the best of her abilities. The phrase, best interest, is easy to say but difficult to practice in real-life situations. In the Indian situation, many aspects related to the client's welfare may have to be compromised as the choices available are very limited. Social welfare programs and social welfare institutions have their limitations, and so does the bureaucracy who manages and implements these programs. Further, the severity of the social control mechanisms at different levels prevalent in the society limits the scope for independent action by individuals. For example, a woman who is facing harassment by her husband's family for more dowry is most likely to be sent back to her parental home as there are hardly any options. Her parents may not want to keep her in their house for the fear of humiliation and apprehension about her future. In these cases, social workers also have to accept the choices available and act accordingly. But the social worker can do regular follow-up visits to check the condition of the woman and prevent further harassment. The social worker should not under any circumstances use the relationship with the client for private benefit. The social worker should collaborate and consult with fellow social workers and professionals of other disciplines if it serves the interest of the client. In some cases, when other professionals will not be as cooperative as one may want them to be, the social worker should remember that she has to take a holistic view of the client and also protect her dignity. Hence she can set aside her ego in the interest of the client. In the Indian situation, the social worker should see that the client is not discriminated against on the basis of sex, caste, religion, language, ethnicity, marital status, or sexual preference. The social worker's relationship with the client is a professional one and therefore has specific objectives. It would be wrong on the part of the social worker to interfere in those areas of the client's life which are not related to the problem. For example, a social worker may be a moralist who believes that homosexuality is a sin, but her her client who has come to him, her for HIV, AIDS counseling may be a homosexual. In such a situation, one should not condemn the patient. It is always advisable to understand the client's problem from her perspective. Rights and prerogatives of clients. The social worker should make every effort to foster maximum self-determination on the part of clients. Self-determination means giving the client the necessary opportunities, support, confidence and knowledge to make decisions that will affect her life. The social worker, when confronted with situations where the client cannot make decisions, should keep in mind the rights of the clients, her socio-cultural situation and other relevant facts that affect the client while making decisions for the client. Confidentiality and privacy. The social worker should respect the privacy of the client and hold in confidence all information obtained during the course of professional service. Information regarding the client can be given to those individuals who need to be informed with the knowledge and consent of the client. Information kept in records should be carefully maintained and access to these records should be restricted. When information has to be shared with others, the social worker should tell the client about it and seek her consent. The client's feelings and emotions regarding this should be respected and action may be taken accordingly. Fees. When setting fees, the social worker should ensure that they are fair, reasonable, considerate, and commensurate with the service performed and with due regard for the client's ability to pay. The social worker is not in the profession solely to make money. Social workers should not make their endeavors merely money-making activities. Therefore, the social worker should charge fees that are fair and reasonable, taking into consideration the time and expertise she has used in course of the service delivery. It may be noted that unlike in the West, social work practice in India is yet to gain professional status. There is no accrediting body or regulatory body. The common man is not adequately educated or informed about the social work profession and the benefits one can seek from them. As on date, social workers are only employed and paid by agencies, and private practice for monetary gain hardly exists. 3. The social worker's ethical responsibility to colleagues. Respect, fairness, and courtesy. The social worker should treat colleagues with respect, courtesy, fairness, and good faith. This is applicable to colleagues who are social workers as well as those who belong to other professions. Dealing with colleagues' clients, the social worker has the responsibility to relate to the clients of colleagues with full professional consideration. In case of the absence of the colleagues, the social worker should deal with the clients as she deals with her own. The social worker should not steal colleagues' client, influence them outside the formal channels, or try to mar the reputation of the colleague. A colleague's client can be transferred only with the full knowledge and consent of the colleague. However, a client is free to change her facilitator on her own free will. IV. The social worker's ethical responsibility to employers and employing organizations. Social worker as an employee, the social worker should adhere to rules and regulations of the employing agencies. Most agencies have a hierarchy and will assign the social worker a position in an agency. The social worker should try to follow all the legitimate instructions of her superiors. The social worker's response to unethical practices in the agency will have to be dealt according to the seriousness of the offense, its adverse effect on the clients and on with society. In no circumstances should the social worker be part of any wrongdoings done by the agency, even if she is employed by that agency. The social worker's ethical responsibility to the social work profession. Maintaining the integrity of the profession, the social worker should uphold and advance the values, ethics, knowledge and mission of the profession. The social worker should remember that she is part of a larger community of professionals and her actions will positively or negatively affect the profession and its professionals. The social worker should take to the appropriate agency any instances of serious wrongdoing by members of the social work profession. The social worker should not misrepresent her professional qualifications and abilities. For example, a social worker should not claim that she is a medical doctor even though that may increase her credibility with the community and make them more responsive to her message. The social worker should not misrepresent facts regarding the clients even when it seems to benefit them. The profession's credibility and the social worker's credibility will be affected if the impression is given that facts are distorted for that purpose. The social worker should assist the profession in making social services available to the general public. The social worker's involvement in providing social services does not end with her working hours. The social worker should make available her time and expertise for efforts which seek improvement in society. The social worker should take responsibility for identifying, developing, and fully utilizing knowledge for professional practice. The pursuit of new knowledge and clarifying issues pertaining to existing knowledge is an important aim in any profession. The social worker should participate in the continuous process of updating knowledge and skills and keep herself informed about the latest developments in the discipline. The social worker's ethical responsibility to society. Promoting the general welfare. The social worker should promote the general welfare of society. The social work should participate in all efforts which seek to eradicate social problems of discrimination and exclusion, violation of human rights, and promotion of equality. 4.7 Problems faced by social workers in ethical decision making. Ethical decision making is difficult in any society as it can result in adverse consequences for the social worker. She may have to suffer losses because her decisions more often than not harm the interests of some individuals or groups that intend to benefit from the situation. Crisis of values in Indian society. Many social scientists have commented on the crises of values in Indian society. Values of honesty, propriety, concern for others, accountability among government officials and corporates are seen as lacking in Indian society. According to some, the crises are caused because we have forgotten our ancient values. For others, crises of value have been caused because Indian society is still undergoing the modernization process. Social workers have to live and work in such situations and are naturally affected. Voluntary associations as a money-making venture. The availability of large funds from international and national donors as well as local and government sources have led to the setting up of numerous voluntary agencies. Many of these agencies claim to work for the people, but the real purpose seems to be to make money. Corruption, misappropriation of funds, lack of accountability and improper accounting procedures are some of the allegations that are made against these agencies. In the process, the very purpose and ideals of setting up WAS and NGOs get defeated. Lack of common perspectives in social work-related issues. In many ways, Indian society is in a state of transition. Certain issues related to individual autonomy, collective orientation, individual rights and responsibilities are difficult to resolve in any society. Indian society, caught between traditional and modern forces, faces a number of problems related to such issues. Also, different groups are influenced by westernization to varying degrees. All these cause problems for social workers in interpersonal relationships. Powerlessness of the social worker. The social worker, in many cases, intends to do the work with propriety but lacks the power to do so. There are other institutions and authorities on which the social worker has to depend on while facing difficult situations. Their methods of functioning are very often found to be different from that of the social worker. Sometimes, there are problems of lack of accountability, the negligence of staff, vested interests, and even the presence of criminals in welfare institutions. The social worker has no choice but to go along with these as he she has no power to change the situation. At best, she can achieve minimal changes. Anything beyond this involves risk, and not everyone can afford to go to that extent. Lack of support from the civil society. In India, the social work profession has not gained much recognition from the government and the society at large. The misdeeds of a few social workers, many of them not even professionals, sadly, Indian society does not distinguish between professional and voluntary social workers, have contributed to the loss of image and the moral authority of social workers. People suspect social workers of having ulterior motives when they take up social issues. All these have resulted in lack of public support for the social worker and weakened her power to achieve social change. Lack of professional bodies and professional support. The existence of a professional body can give the much needed training and support for social work professionals. Secondly, if any social worker is being harassed for legitimately raising relevant issues, the professional body can give him her support. This will enable social workers to take up public causes without fear. Lack of importance given to studying and discussing professional ethics. While all social work educators consider social work ethics to be important, it is given secondary importance in the curriculum. Students frequently consider it to be idealistic, rather than something which should be practiced in the field. In fact, social work syllabuses of many universities in India do not have ethics as a component for classroom teaching. 4.8 Summary. In this unit we have discussed social work ethics, its importance in practice, and some of the problems associated with ethical decision making in the Indian context. Ethics deals with what ought to be. It helps the social worker to simplify the complex situations in which she will often find herself. The social worker has to meet the high standards the codes recommend. In the process, it is not only the social worker's personal credibility which is affected when a social worker misbehaves, but the credibility of the whole profession. There are many problems regarding ethical decision making, and we have discussed some of them here. These problems show that the social worker should be extremely careful while making decisions which affect powerful people. Unless social workers get adequate recognition from society and the government, it would be difficult to bring about any basic changes in society. Till this happens, the social work discipline will remain a secondary profession in society. As mentioned earlier, one necessary step in gaining social recognition is the formation of a professional social work association which has the sanction of the government and which will have adequate authority to control the members' professional practice and conduct. The association will have as its members only professionals who are qualified social workers, and the office bearers will be elected on the basis of popular vote. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next video with the next chapter.